In the pale light of an early autumn morning, the imposing manor loomed silently, its vast stone structure exuding an air of long-forgotten elegance and an unsettling mystery. The young Nanny, whose hopeful eyes and determined heart reflected dreams too large for the confines of her modest past, stepped through the wrought iron gates with her belongings neatly packed. Everything about the prestigious household whispered secrets, and as she approached the towering oak door, the crisp leaves rustled beneath her steps with a sound that seemed to echo the hidden depths of the estate. Once inside, the sprawling corridors and intricately decorated rooms spoke of tradition and perfection. Every surface was polished to a high sheen, every piece of furniture a well-curated relic from another age. Beneath the polished veneer, however, lay unspoken rules and subtle hostilities. The children, although well-dressed and unusually quiet, moved with an eerie familiarity that transcended the ordinary antics of youth. Their eyes, wide and knowing, frequently fixed upon empty spaces, as if they were in communion with presences unseen by anyone else. As the days unfolded, the nanny noticed that there were constants in her new environment that defied logic. There were moments when the laughter of unseen friends appeared to float from distant corridors, and shadows seemed to move even when there was no source of light casting them. It was in the nursery, a room filled with soft pastel hues and carefully arranged toys, that she began to sense a hidden sorrow, a heaviness that contradicted the outward appearance of the home. The children's vague references to an absent companion, spoken in hushed tones of reverence and sometimes fear, unsettled her further. Her first weeks were marked by an undercurrent of disquiet as she diligently carried out her duties, feeling the weight of silent expectations pressing down upon her. Each day, amidst the careful routines of meal preparation, gentle guidance, and the humming of lullabies, the quiet mystery of the manor slowly crept into her thoughts. The rules of the household were peculiar, oftentimes laced with abrupt changes and inexplicable restrictions that dismissed her inquiries with a cold politeness. But it was during one fateful evening that her life, and her perception of the manor, would change forever. While tidying the nursery late one night, she discovered an anomaly beneath the floorboards. With a mixture of dread and curiosity, she knelt by a loose plank in the worn wooden floor, her trembling fingers prying it free. Behind it lay an envelope of dust and age, secured by a delicate lock and a faint scent of leather. In that hidden compartment, resting imperiously amid old, brittle remnants, she found a leather-bound journal. Its cover was etched with intricate designs that gave it an air of nobility and forewarning. Though her hands trembled as she caressed the aged leather, she knew instinctively that this was not her diary. It belonged to someone else, a previous caretaker of the household whose presence lingered like a ghost in every corner of the ancient walls. The pages of the journal, fragile and yellowed with time, recounted the eerie account of daily life in the manor from the perspective of the woman who once held the position. Through detailed entries, rich with personal reflections and hidden confessions, it became increasingly clear that the diary was not merely a record of mundane tasks but a window into an intricate tapestry of secrets. The entries mentioned strange occurrences, the flicker of inexplicable lights in empty hallways, disembodied murmurs echoing through the night, and a recurring theme of being watched by unseen eyes. Each entry brimmed with a foreboding that pushed the boundaries of reality and delved into the realm of the supernatural. As she turned page after page, a shocking revelation dawned. The nanny was not simply a new occupant in a cycle of employment but a replacement in a continuum of guardianship that spanned generations. The previous nanny, whose confessions filled the pages of the journal, had never truly left the manor. Her recorded experiences created an uncanny parallel to the current events unfolding within these walls. It became painfully clear that fate was orchestrating a repetition of events, a ghostly inheritance passed down from one caretaker to the next, with each unaware of the full measure of the legacy they were meant to uphold. The diary narrated the deterioration of the family's reputed perfection, hinting at dark undercurrents beneath the polished etiquette. Each entry offered subtle clues of a meticulously kept facade, masking a truth long buried. The prestigious family, revered in society for its wealth and refined manners, had a foundation built on clandestine pacts and sacrifices. The journal illuminated the fact that the family's impeccable reputation was nothing more than an elaborate construction maintained by secrets that, if revealed, would dismantle the order they so carefully preserved. The scandal hidden behind the opulent walls was rooted in fear. a fear that something beyond the normal realm of human experience had claimed dominion over their lives. The nanny, her heart now pounding with the realization of the gravity of her discovery, became entangled in a web of foreboding expectations. The leather-bound journal was not merely a relic, it was a harbinger of an inevitable destiny. The entries chronicled a desperate race against time, as the previous nanny had attempted to break free from the cycle of confinement and secrecy. The final entry, left incomplete as if torn abruptly from the diary, laid bare the existential threat that loomed, the specter of entrapment, a doom that would befall anyone who dared to uncover the full truth of the manor. Now, with the haunting narrative unfolding in her hands, the current nanny felt an overwhelming urgency to piece together the fragments of a past that still echoed within the present. Her days transformed into a race against an unseen clock. Every new detail extracted from the journal deepened the mystery of the family's hidden history and underscored the peril that lay before her. The unyielding presence of the previous nanny, whose spectral existence appeared to hover at the periphery, silently guiding and, at times, obstructing her actions. The realization that she might be the latest in a long, cursed succession sent ripples of anxiety through her mind as the boundary between her reality and the supernatural blurred. The manor, once appearing as a monument of refined grace, now revealed its true nature to her. Every pristine hallway, every meticulously maintained garden, and every picturesque facade became a character in its own right, a participant in a macabre choreography of secrets and unspoken truths. With each step taken towards unraveling the mystery, the young nanny felt increasingly vulnerable and exposed, as if the building itself were aware of her probing. In the silent hours before dawn, when darkness shrouded the corridors in eerie silence, she caught glimpses of fleeting shadows dancing along the walls and heard faint echoes that defied logical explanation. In a determined bid to escape the clutches of an inherited legacy she never wished for, the nanny began to retrace the footsteps of her predecessor as chronicled in the journal. Every entry served as both a guide and a warning, a map of treacherous terrain intended to steer her away from the same fate as the woman who had come before her. The diary recounted secret passages behind which bizarre relics were hidden, concealed rooms suffused with an unsettling chill, and mysterious symbols etched on walls that hinted at forbidden rituals. It was as if the very structure of the manor was alive with ancient memories, each brick and beam imbued with the sorrows and secrets of generations past. An intense internal struggle waged within her as the lines between bravery and trepidation blurred. There were moments when she questioned her own sanity, wondering if the dread that gripped her was simply a product of an overactive imagination fostered by isolation. Yet, each new discovery was too tangible, too interwoven with the fabric of the manor's being, to dismiss as mere fantasy. The journal's narrative had a precision that forced her to confront the possibility that the family's reputation was built upon an unholy bargain, a covenant that demanded the sacrifice of those entrusted with caring for the innocent souls within its walls. As the days passed, the nanny's every action became a deliberate stride towards uncovering the hidden truth, a truth that lay in wait for the moment of reckoning. With an inexorable pull guiding her, she began to align her own experiences with the cryptic notes found within the faded pages. The realization that her own position was merely a continuation of an age-old pattern instilled within her a somber resolve. She was now not only an observer but also an unwilling participant in a dance with destiny. Every room explored, every whispered murmur in the dead of night, and every cold draft that spiraled through the corridors contributed to her mounting sense of urgency. The climax of her journey was approaching, as the spectral presence of the previous nanny loomed ever larger on the periphery of her vision. The final entries in the journal, filled with frantic scrawls and ominous warnings, foretold a dire finish, a conclusive moment when the last page might be written, sealing the fate of anyone who dared linger in the manor any longer. The narrative grew desperate with hints of an impending ritual, one that was meant to bind the guardians of the children to eternal servitude. The perfect image of the family was slowly crumbling, exposing the raw architecture of lies that had supported their imposed order. In the heart of the night, when the manor transformed into a labyrinth of nightmares, the nanny embarked on a daring plan to defy the inexorable cycle. The journal had served as both a key and a map, guiding her towards clandestine chambers where evidence lay hidden, a concealed ledger revealing accounts of secret meetings, obscure correspondences hinting at forbidden rituals, and photographs capturing unsettling moments of integrity lost. Each artifact was a piece of a larger puzzle, a puzzle that promised to expose the corruption embedded in the household's revered facade. The realization that the prestigious family had spent decades safeguarding their dark secret fueled her determination to escape before the final entry was penned. It was a race against time, a struggle where every tick of the ancient clock resonated like a death knell in the silent corridors. Her resolve crystallized into a single purpose: to free herself from a legacy that had claimed countless souls over the years. With each furtive movement, she traversed the narrow passageways and secluded chambers that the diary had painstakingly described. The architecture of the manor, with its secret doors and hidden compartments, emerged as a silent accomplice in her mission. The interplay of shadow and light became a metaphor for her internal battle between hope and despair. The cold stone walls, which had witnessed the quiet suffering of past caretakers, now bore silent testimony to her determination to rewrite the narrative that had entrapped so many before her. As the final moments of darkness approached, the air became thick with the weight of impending revelation. The nanny's breaths grew shallow, and the palpable tension in the manor echoed the frantic pulse of her heart. The journal, with its invaluable chronicle of doom and salvation, lay open as if inviting her to inscribe the concluding words of a tragic epic. In those decisive hours, every detail, every creak in the wooden floor, every flicker of candlelight in an abandoned hallway, accentuated the profound connection between her fate and that of her spectral predecessor. The culmination of all that had been written and all that had been experienced was now imminent. In the surreal stillness of that fateful night, the mansion itself seemed to hold its breath. The nanny moved stealthily from room to room, piecing together the final fragments of a legacy marred by secrets and anguish. The decisive moment had arrived, the knowledge that the perfect reputation of the family was a fragile illusion, one sustained by sacrifices and dark pacts that had ensnared both the lineage and the caretakers who served them. Every relic, every hidden inscription found in the concealed corners of the manor, testified to this uncomfortable truth, a truth that had been meticulously curated into the fabric of the household for generations. In a climactic surge of purpose, she entered a grand chamber, a room that possessed an aura of solemnity and forewarning. Here, artifacts from bygone eras mingled with modern remnants, creating a haunting tableau of ambition and regret. The nanny's eyes, now steeled by the burden of her discoveries, surveyed the chamber as she recalled the final, desperate entries of the journal. It was within these walls that the previous nanny had chronicled her last desperate attempt to escape her fate, a frantic endeavor that ended in a surrender to forces far beyond human control. The final words of that previous chronicle, incomplete yet burning with urgency, echoed in the silence like a countdown to oblivion. In that moment of convergence, the line between past and present blurred. The evidence of the family's hidden rituals and the spectral imprint of the previous nanny coalesced into a singular point of reckoning. Every room and every piece of evidence had guided her to this final, precipice-like juncture. The journalist chronicling decades of silence and despair had inadvertently bestowed upon her the knowledge necessary to confront the very forces that had held sway over the manor. Steeling herself against the crystalline terror that threatened to shatter her resolve, the nanny resolved to escape the clutches of the legacy that had consumed so many. With the journal clutched tightly to her chest, she wove her way through the labyrinthine corridors one last time, guided by the ghostly remnants of her predecessor's struggles. The manor, once a place of ordered perfection and serene beauty, now revealed its true, malevolent nature in every creak of its wooden floor, every gust of chill wind that whispered in forgotten languages along its walls. The journey from innocent arrival to the keeper of dreadful secrets had transformed her into both a victim and a champion, a reluctant warrior determined to break the cycle of eternal servitude. Every step echoed like a heartbeat in a land of shadows as the nanny approached the final door, a portal that not only marked an exit from the mansion but also symbolized the severance of a centuries-old curse. The evidence she had gathered was enough to expose the masquerade of perfection that the family had built upon layers of deceit and dark pacts. In the quiet intensity of that moment, she realized that her escape was not merely an act of self-preservation, but a necessary act of redemption for all those who had suffered under the weight of the family's ancestral secrets. As the final pages of the journal came alive with the energy of a warning fulfilled, the manor's oppressive presence intensified, as if determined to keep the past from relinquishing its grip. The final entry, an ominous sketch of foreboding symbols and hurried scrawl, seemed to beckon her to write her own fate, a fate that could either complete the cycle of despair or serve as a catalyst for liberation. In that heartbeat before destiny swung into action, She paused, the journal's worn pages reflecting in her widened eyes. Every revelation, every trembling secret uncovered within these walls, converged into a single, profound understanding of the immutable connection between the living and the spectral echoes of the past. As the ornate clock in the heart of the mansion struck an eerie hour, the nanny moved with deliberate caution, her mind and body immersed in a desperate bid for freedom. The manor's hidden passages, once shrouded in mystery, now revealed themselves as both a means of escape and a repository of the manifold pains of the past. With unyielding determination, she navigated the twisting corridors that bore the indelible marks of forgotten rituals, each step a defiant refusal to surrender to the fate inscribed in the haunting diary. The night's stillness was punctuated by the relentless tick of time, a reminder that her every moment was a celebration of both courage and inevitable risk. Every artifact uncovered, every hidden inscription, now cemented her fate, to be the one who would rewrite the manor's dark legacy. With the strength of will and the indomitable spark of hope guiding her path, she prepared to step beyond the threshold of the final door, leaving behind the chilling legacy that had defined her predecessors, and lighting a path toward the uncertain promise of freedom. In this defining moment, as the centuries-old mansion bore silent witness to her final act of defiance, the intricate tapestry of secrets unraveled to reveal the deep, unsettling truth. Some secrets are indeed better left unread. Yet the relentless pull of destiny had compelled her to unveil what lay hidden beneath the mask of immaculate perfection, a revelation that would forever alter the narrative of the prestigious family and the fate of those within its walls. The path ahead remained shrouded in uncertainty and danger, but with the diary as both a guide and a warning, she embraced the profound responsibility of safeguarding the truth, determined that the cycle of dark inheritance would end with her, once and for all.